if he does get dealt, there are a handful of teams that should make some calls and inquire about Matthew Stafford. I don't know if the Giants are going to be willing to part with a top pick for Matthew Stafford, but I think a couple teams that should be in the mix that are needing quarterbacks are the Steelers, Giants, and this team, which is what we're going to talk about here. Are you concerned if Matthew Stafford ends up with the Vikings, if they make the call and say, hey, what does it take? And they figure it out and they say, you know what, this is an upgrade over Sam Darnold. We can have JJ McCarthy learn from a gunslinger. This is a more favorable comp as a veteran that could definitely suit the needs of a developing quarterback in JJ McCarthy. You let him sit for a year and you bring in Matthew Stafford for a couple years. Look, I would say it's intriguing would I be concerned? Not terribly, but I would say that you look at Matthew Stafford with Justin Jefferson, Addison, a solid run game, and a defense that's growing, young and hungry. I think that puts the Vikings in a spot where they can be competitive, go toe to toe with the Lions for the division. How concerned are you? What'd you make of the Matthew Stafford talk now that he's able to kind of go see what he's worth on the open market? And I think it's going to come back to be that he's going to be coveted because of the fact he's a winner, he's gritty, and the fact that there's not too many true Super Bowl caliber quarterbacks that are available in the National Football League.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that it's a very interesting fit between Stafford and the Minnesota Vikings. You're talking about a veteran quarterback who's won a Super Bowl, but not just that. He's played in this division. He knows what it takes to win at Lambeau and to win at Soldier Field and to win at Ford Field. And I do think it would be really interesting to kind of see that wrap around with. I know some people are sick of the narrative of Stafford coming back to Detroit for his reunion and this, that, and the other. Like, talking about the postseason a couple seasons ago, and then obviously opening the regular season on Sunday Night Football in 2024, and just the fanfare that comes with that. Matt Stafford was a great player for the Lions organization. He didn't take them to the winning heights that many hoped he would when they drafted him first overall, but I do think it would be interesting to see him come back in the NFC North and play for the Vikings. Obviously, there's a lot to like about the potential fit. With the style of offense, Coach Kevin O'Connell. And then you look at what they did with Sam Darnold, and Sam Darnold was a quarterback that had been cast aside by most of the league in terms of a lot of people thought maybe he'd reached his ceiling in the NFL, and they didn't think he had much more meat left on the bone. But he was excellent for the Vikings this year. And I know a lot of that is because of the steps he took to grow in his own development. But I also do think that the scheme that the Vikings deploy have played a big role in that. It made life a lot easier for him. And anytime you're paired up with guys like Justin Jefferson out wide, that is going to make life super easy as a quarterback. You can just throw it up to one of the best wide receivers in the game right now. And I do think that's why if Matt Stafford were to land in Minnesota, you're talking about a team that is going to compete for a division title and maybe could be considered the favorite in the division. Obviously, the Lions bring back a ton of talent. They should be expected to win the division and make a postseason run. But I think having Stafford back in the division and all the weapons that the Vikings have offensively is certainly going to make life tough. And obviously, their stadium is one of the best atmospheres in the league, and it shines through when you watch a game on television, just how invested their fan base is. And I do think that would be a really exciting fit if the Vikings were to land him. If you're a Vikings fan, like, how could you not be pumped up about bringing a guy that's won a Super Bowl to your team? And it is a little bit weird the way the Rams are handling this offseason with the whole Cooper Kupp thing, just blatantly saying, hey, we're going to trade you. And then with the Stafford stuff too, like, I'm not quite sure what's going on over there. But yeah, I there is a level of concern if Stafford were to land in Minnesota, and we'll have to see how this all plays out. But I think that if you're a team in the NFC North, you'd certainly like to see him land somewhere else. That said, I don't think anybody's going to be scared of him, and Stafford is on the older side of things. But as he showed at times last year, especially when the Rams really got hot there towards the end of the season, he's still got a lot of good football left in him, and at least it feels that way. Obviously, injuries and things of that nature could have other options for him, but I mean, it's hard to say confidently that, oh, Matt Stafford is not a concern if he comes to the NFC North. So we'll see how it all plays out, but that's certainly an intriguing fit for the veteran passer.
Agree. And you got that whole drama with Kirby Joseph. You now could
Mm-hmm.
have a burgeoning rivalry with the Vikings continuing with Matthew Stafford, who has called Kirby Joseph dirty to his face and publicly regarding, the way in which the Lions star safety plays. So it'll be intriguing because it'll spark the debate twice a year regarding Stafford and Jared Goff, and we'll see how potentially how Matthew Stafford's saga shakes out. He may end up returning to the Rams, but maybe finding out fairly what the market is. I think the Rams are just, at least at this point, preliminarily trying to understand what the market is for Matthew Stafford, and they've given him and his representatives the permission to go find out what that is. And that's fair. That's fair to Matthew Stafford to say, hey, look, if you're upset that Cooper Kupp's not going to be there anymore, then if you want to depart, then it's amicable because they won the ring. That he's done everything that the organization would want, and if it's just a money situation, sometimes that's the business of the National Football League.